Jona, I see you are back from the States and back in Munich. It's been a pretty busy past week for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, it has been. Obviously, the NFT NYC week itself has been super busy, but then also the week afterwards, where I still stayed in America, and yeah, we traveled around there a bunch, and still had lots of things to do. And now I have a huge list of of things that I still need to do now that I'm back, but working through those now. So, but yeah, I'm happy to be back in Munich now.
For sure. So, what have we been working on this week?
Yeah, so I think there's been sort of a lot of just smaller fixes that have been pushed, but nothing noteworthy there necessarily. We've continued work on sort of our launch calendar, which we've already begun like half a year ago, and then I think sort of prioritized other things, but that's being finished up now. The trading redesign, which I think I've mentioned a couple of times, is almost ready. We hope to release that very soon, so that's good. So that's sort of one of the things, and then there's just general progress, sort of on the backend side with notifications, with the notification service, with messaging, so on. There's a lot of stuff still going on in the background.
Cool. Well, I suppose the listeners will be glad to hear that we're still ticking on a number of those things we've been discussing over the past few weeks and months. So a couple of questions from the Discord. We have one here from Bull E, who is asking about NFT rental. So specifically, he's talking about some Hot Wheels NFTs. Of course, Hot Wheels have their third series coming up this week. He's saying there's some collectors that don't have the funds necessarily to own one, but would like to rent one for a period of time for a purpose. Is that something we could look into doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting concept, and there's sort of a few things in there. Like one, there actually was a decision that we made in the beginning when designing the Atomic Assets technical standard, if we should have renting right in there. We decided against it. The reason being that if you do have renting directly in the NFT standard, it sort of creates an edge case that you always have to worry about. Like, for example, every smart contract would always have to double check that an NFT isn't just being rented, and that an NFT wouldn't be returned in a couple of days or whatever. So we decided against implementing it in the technical standard, but that doesn't mean it's impossible to do. It just means you have to do it in different ways with sort of third-party smart contracts, and have to find ways to enforce that NFTs are actually being given back.
Yeah.
So I do think it's sort of a super interesting topic, and it's especially for some of the NFTs with utility, like that are used in games. It makes a lot of sense to think about that, and it's difficult to do in a generalized way, but especially for specific games, you can implement some cool things there. So it's a very broad answer. So we don't have anything that is in the works right now and that will be ready soon or anything like that. But we are looking at it. I do think it's an interesting topic, and I do think there's opportunity there. Maybe not even just for us, but maybe also for someone else that could build something that goes into that direction. But yeah, it's definitely technically possible to do something like that with the Atomic Assets NFTs. So it's just that someone has to build it.
For sure. I mean, as you said, there's a lot of cases, especially with blockchain games and some NFTs with utility, where that could be a helpful feature. But we'll see what happens on that front. Another question from the Discord is one we get sort of semi-regularly, is someone asking for the ability to lock their NFTs. So let's say they own an NFT and they don't want to sell it or trade it. So they want the option to kind of lock it away, as that kind of prevents them from accidentally selling or trading it. Is that something we have thought about?
Yeah, we have thought about that. So like, we obviously wouldn't want to completely lock an NFT from like the smart contract level, and NFT should always be transferable. But what definitely does make sense is some safety mechanism, which is essentially what people are asking for, right? Like a mechanism to just ensure that they don't accidentally do anything with the NFTs.
Yeah.
The reason we didn't build anything like that yet is because it actually requires pretty sophisticated backend infrastructure to be set up first. Like, the feature itself obviously isn't that complicated, but it requires the infrastructure to be there for that first.
Yeah.
And that's sort of being worked on anyways right now, not for that specific feature, but being worked on. And once we have that, I think it's quite likely that we can implement a feature like locking NFTs, or just like giving them some extra like security to make sure that you don't accidentally do anything with them. So yeah, I think eventually we will see that. It sort of depends on a lot of the back-end work to be done, but at some point I think it's quite likely that we will see this on AtomicHub.
Awesome. And I think users will like having that additional kind of safety net to prevent their most valuable NFTs from accidentally being sold on the marketplace. So that's cool to hear. And kind of following on from what we've been working on this week, people have been asking what's the next kind of major feature update that's going to come to AtomicHub.
Yeah. So I mean, as I mentioned, obviously the trading redesign, that's a big one. Next to that, we're making good progress sort of with our partnership with Banksa. I think we already mentioned that, like we already have the fiat to crypto solution rolled out in a beta version on AtomicHub, and the goal for that is to also have a fiat to NFT solution where you can buy NFTs from the marketplace directly with like credit card, and that's actually coming along quite nicely. So we're sort of moving into testing that, and I'd be quite excited once we are able to release that. So that's probably a bigger thing, and then after that, I think sort of longer term, there's a whole bunch of things, creator tools, marketplace revision, that we'll be working on at that point. But that's still so far ahead into the future that I don't want to make promises there. That would be unwise.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I mean, we're halfway through 2022, and AtomicHub's already been through so many major changes this year. So who knows where we could be at the end of this year? Fingers crossed we'll have a more feature complete marketplace, let's say, and with a whole bunch of new features that you guys as collectors and as creators will enjoy. So yeah, Jona, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week.
Thank you. See you next week.